What's going on, folks? I'm Luis Ortiz. It's been getting a little bit difficult to go ahead and find some prime briskets at my local HEB, and I don't feel like driving way out there to go ahead and get some prime briskets, right? Not only that, but I don't know how it is where you are, but down here, primes are still around $4.99, give or take. And I'm in deep South Texas, so I don't know what the deal is. So I ended up just getting a select brisket, right? About 14 pounds, give or take. There's a fine line when it comes to smoking a select brisket. It doesn't have a whole lot of fat, so the threshold of juicy versus dry is very, very thin. So say the internal temperature is about 196, you might get some moisture, but there's a lot of unrendered fat. Maybe it might be a little bit too tough. Or if you go to 203, 204, it's nice and tender, but it's dried out. So I thought to myself, you know what? I've seen a lot of sous vide videos where all these folks, you know, they end up smoking it up to a certain temperature and then sous videing the rest of it the way. Sous videing around 150, 160, give or take, and only smoking for a couple hours. I don't like that because I prefer a nice bark. I like my briskets to be almost like a meteor. Once you put them to the sous vide, it won't wash it off, but it's gonna make it really, really soft. So we're gonna go ahead and get the brisket, 180 degrees, pull it out, sous vide for 150. Let's go ahead and do that. Today, we got USDA Select. All right, so what does that mean? It means this thing doesn't have a whole lot of fat, right? But the fat that it does have, we're gonna try and conserve that as much as possible. Now, HEB already did a little bit of trimming, pretty good, but I still wanna get rid of most of this stuff right over here. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Let's go to the backside since that's gonna be the worst part. Now, they did not remove this mohawk, so we're gonna have to get rid of it ourselves. But first, let's go ahead and chop down this big old fat side right over here. There we go. Chop the mohawk a little bit. We'll use this for a burger or sausage. Either way, it's gonna be fantastic. Make sure it's nice and smooth. It looks like it's a lot, but the end result is gonna be that much better. There we go, a little bit better. Make it about a 1/4 inch. That looks pretty decent. I do have pepper, but just not enough. So I just said, you know what? Let's go ahead and do the holy cow for a bit. I haven't done that in a long time, so let's go ahead and do that. Man, I forgot how good this thing smells. By the way, gents, the microphone died on me, so it is what it is. We're going manual microphone for the time being. I just wish they hadn't gashed this stuff, man, but sometimes that's what you end up getting, man. It is what it is. If you guys haven't watched my other videos, I like using the holy cow and mixing it up with the voodoo. It just gives it an amazing flavor, guys. So if you haven't done it, do that. But always make sure that you do the voodoo last because it's a lot finer. Whereas the holy cow, it's a lot thicker, it's a lot more coarse. So it'll have more space to go ahead and the voodoo can go ahead and set in place just fine. Whereas if you do the voodoo first and then the holy cow won't stick. So always do the finer rub afterwards. Let's flip it over. Now let's go ahead and throw the voodoo in. All right, let's go ahead and check on our fire. We got a little flame action going. Let's go ahead and start taming the fire a little bit. Set this up real good. We'll put the heat deflectors here shortly. I'll put this boy right over here. I think that's gonna be good. So I set the temp up to about 250 degrees. I'm gonna put it right now because the gnats or whatever those little bugs are called, they're bothering the hell out of me. It's so humid down here in South Texas, bro, that I'm gonna go ahead and put it. It's at around 211 now. Let's go ahead and put this thing in. And we're gonna go ahead and do fat side up. Alright, let's go ahead and get this done. See you in a bit. Forgot to add this little board right over here. It's about right. Alrighty guys, we'll see you in a bit. Bruh, it's humid as hell, man. It's humid. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look, see what we got here. I believe we are on hour number 7. Oh, look at that bark, guys. There we go, a little bit better. Look at that bark, guys. It's looking fantastic. Internal temperatures at 170. Once I reach about 180 degrees, then that's when it's when I'm gonna pull it out. The reason being is that this is a select brisket, right? Select. There's not a whole bunch of fat in there, so any fat that it's in there, we gotta save it, right? But we also need the brisket to be tender. That's why the sous vide method is gonna be perfect for us. You can either do sous vide, or if you have an oven or whatever the case may be, then that's gonna work out. But me having a sous vide, I think I'm gonna go ahead and use that. So bark is looking fantastic. Ooh. Oh, it tastes good as hell, man. All right, so the bark is looking really, really good. Let's go ahead and leave it in there. Once it's at 180, 185, we'll take it out. All right, guys, we'll be back. All right, boys, it's about to rain. Internal temp is at 180.5. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bark. If the bark is good, then we'll go ahead and pull this thing out. See? Ooh. You can't even see it on camera, man. That's how dark it is. Let's see if we can. There we go. Look at that. Now, here's a very important thing, guys. If you decide to pull the meat probe out right now, all the juices are going to come out. We don't want to do that. So we're going to let it rest with the meat probe in. Once it's rested, then we'll take it out. Okay? This isn't really a problem if you never leave the meat probe in, but since we left it in to monitor everything, we're going to have to keep it like that for at least a good 2 hours, then we'll pull it out. You pull it out right now, all the juice is going to come out, man. Taking away absolutely everything that we're trying to go ahead and accomplish here. All right, let's go ahead and take this bad boy out. Look at the color on this, gents. Look at that. A little bit of fading here, but that's all right. Everything else seems pretty good. All right, sous vide time. All right, so I no longer feel the radiant heat anymore, so that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and remove this meat probe. Hopefully none of the juices come out, and if they do, it is what it is. Oh, we got a little bit out. Actually, not a bit. It's not too bad. Whenever I had these at around 200 degrees or so and I immediately take them out, man, it just starts shooting out. You guys probably already know about this, but anyways, this will minimize it quite a bit. I know what you're saying. Ortiz, man, it's at 180 degrees. It's not 100% done. I understand that. When it comes to select briskets though, there is a fine line in trying to get these to be as juicy as possible. Some people do 185 and pull them out, but sometimes the fat is still not rendered. Others go 200, 202, but it's dry as hell. So being at 180, I'm gonna go ahead and sous vide it at 150 degrees for about 18 to 20 some hours. Now what that's gonna do is that it's gonna render the fat on the inside still much slower. It's still gonna render out, no problem, but it's gonna do it much, much slower, right? And it's gonna try and maintain all the juice on the inside. Hopefully, that's the theory at least. Anyways, so let's go ahead and put this thing inside the vacuum seal bag. All right, nice and easy. Now these bags are expandable ones. I'll go ahead and put a link on the description below, but they're very good when it comes to briskets. I've done them on the standard 11-inch bags, but these are much easier. Be sure to always fold these up, because if you don't, some of the fat, the rendering or whatever is going to stick in here and it's going to get inside the vacuum seal machine, and you don't want that. I mean, sometimes it'll still happen, but this will make it just much easier. And there it is, guys. Look at that. That's the bark at the bottom. This is at the top. If you get a little bit of air pockets, that's completely fine, as long as it's not a whole lot where this is no longer, you know, sucked in. If you have that, you're gonna have to redo it all over again, man. But this is good. All right, let's go ahead and put it in. Inside we shall go. We've been in for 18 hours and 40 minutes. Let's go ahead and get this up out the way. Alrighty, there we go. Let's go ahead and take this thing out of the bag. I'm gonna try and get it out as slowly as possibly can without making a huge mess. Look at this, guys. That's some good gold right there. All right. So we still got plenty of bark. So that's a really good news right there. So now it's time to go ahead and split this boy right over here. You know what? Let me get some of this right over here, guys. Just some of this right here. Ooh. Look at that, boys. This is a select brisket, the cheapest of the cheapest. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Is that dry? This is a select brisket, guys. I'm gonna cut one more, and I'm gonna try not to let it hit the bottom so that you guys don't think that I'm fake news. It's a little difficult. There we go. Look at that. Easy as pie. Look at the fat. The fat just rendered perfect. There we go. Let's go ahead and get one of these slices. See how it goes. Oh man. I cut it a little too much of an angle. Mainly because this spot right over here where the fat renders, it just creates a pocket, so my knife ended up jackknifing a little bit. But let's see how tender it is. Oh, look at that. Even the thick piece, look at that. Look at that thick boy right there, guys. Look at that. It's gonna be very hard for me to go ahead and get another prime brisket from here on out. I mean, hell, these things are pretty cheap. You can make them somewhat foolproof. If you have a sous vide, I mean, if you have an oven, that's gonna be even better because you're gonna get a little bit more of the crispy bark rather than it softening up on you. But at the end of the day, as long as it works, man, that's all that matters. And in our case, I think I'm gonna end up going for more select grade briskets from here on out. They're cheaper. I can make them pretty juicy, very tender. And I mean, what else do you want? If I want a juicier brisket, maybe I'll go ahead and do a prime, but there is such a thing as it being too rich. I don't think prime is gonna be too rich, but honestly, this was pretty awesome. All right, guys, so be sure to go ahead and like, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Later, guys.